Sukyun is an utterly average piece of trash guy in every way. He's the weakest guy in the room. His IQ is lower than a working ant. Yet, he awakens his power as an S-rank vampire after his parents sent him to a monster school by mistake and he accidentally makes all the girls fall for him. Sukyun's hopes for high school seemed dashed after he failed his entrance exam. However, his dad stumbled upon some enrollment letter for a private school named Yokai Academy, seemingly dropped by a stranger. Sukyun boarded a bus to this unfamiliar school, and the bus driver warned him that Yokai was no ordinary institution. As they drove, Sukyun received a call from his cousin Kyoko. She had been researching Yokai Academy but was cut off as the bus passed through a tunnel. Upon arrival, Sukyun noticed the bizarre surroundings, dead trees and a red ocean. The bus driver gave him one last piece of advice, to watch his back, before driving back through the tunnel. As Sukyun walked toward the dorms, he heard a squeaking noise following him. It turned out to be just a bat, a relief that made him overlook an oncoming bicycle. The collision sent both him and the bike's rider sprawling. As he tried to stand, Sukyun accidentally touched the girl's thigh. She moved her hair from her face to apologize, revealing stunning beauty. Sukyun was smitten but quickly removed his hand when he realized where it was. His nose bled, and the girl offered a handkerchief. However, she became woozy, mentioning something about a smell. Before Sukyun could ponder this, she bit his neck, revealing herself to be a vampire named Mocha Akashia. Upon realizing what she had done, Mocha quickly apologized. Sukyun checked his neck, expecting to find a wound but found only lipstick instead. Mocha then asked Sukyun about his thoughts on vampires. Slightly bewildered but finding her charming, he said he didn't mind. Mocha was ecstatic and jumped at the chance to be friends. In homeroom, Sukyun met their teacher, Ms. Nekonom, who seemed nice enough. But then she clarified that Yokai Academy was a school for monsters. Sukyun was stunned, wondering if this was a joke. Ms. Nekonom further explained that since humans ruled the earth, monsters needed to learn to blend in. A student named Seizo spoke up, expressing his desire to eat humans rather than coexist. Sukyun hid his face, terrified. Ms. Nekonom scolded Seizo and added that if a human were to be found on the campus, they would be executed. Sukyun felt his life was in peril, especially when Seizo noted that he smelled a human in the room. Just then, Mocha entered, interrupting the tension. She was assigned the empty desk next to Sukyun and hugged him, thrilled they were in the same class. The act drew the attention of the entire class, including a displeased glare from a girl seated nearby. As Sukyun and Mocha explored the campus, he couldn't help but mull over the school's dark truths. While Mocha gained the admiration of the boys, Sukyun became the object of their envy for being close to her. The two finally stopped at a vending machine to grab some drinks. Sukyun and Mocha both go for drinks at the same time. Their hands touch. Sukyun feels embarrassed. Mocha finds it funny and nudges him into a nearby beam. They start enjoying their drinks, but then Seizo shows up. He throws Sukyun into the vending machine, trying to woo Mocha. She's not interested. She helps Sukyun up. Seizo uses his tongue to grab a can that fell. He crushes it. Later, they're on the school rooftop. Mocha wonders if Sukyun is alright. She finds it strange that he acts like he's never met a monster. She almost asks him what kind of monster he is, then remembers the school rules. Sukyun is curious. He wants to know if she's really a vampire. She points to her rosary, says taking it off turns her into a strong, scary vampire. Sukyun believes she'd still be the same person inside. Mocha feels happy. She hugs Sukyun. She says he's her first friend. Also, he's the first person whose blood she's tasted. Before, she had only had blood from bags. She starts to lean in to bite him again. Sukyun feels uneasy, says he forgot to do something and runs away. Sukyun packs his stuff. He plans to leave Yokai Academy. Mocha finds him, tries to make him stay, talks about how she felt alone among humans. Sukyun reveals his secret. Mocha has mixed feelings. He yells at her to keep away. He tells her he doesn't want monster friends. She looks hurt. Sukyun feels guilty and runs away. Sukyun searches hard for the bus stop. Mocha chases him. Seizo is also following them. He finds Mocha and changes into his true work form. He thinks the rules don't apply here. Sukyun hears Mocha scream. He runs back, tries to get Seizo to leave her alone. Seizo knocks him down a hill, laughs at him for being weak. Mocha finds Sukyun. She holds him and says sorry for his injuries. She always wanted a friend, human or monster, but she drinks human blood and thinks no human would be her friend. Sukyun gets up, tells her he still wants to be friends. Seizo interrupts, knocks Sukyun towards Mocha again. Sukyun touches Mocha's shoulder, tells her he still likes her. She's amazed. He accidentally pulls off her rosary. She's surprised. She changes into her powerful vampire form. Seizo is scared. Mocha easily defeats him. Tsukyun notices she smells the same. He feels calm but then passes out. He wakes up on Mocha's lap, sees a sign about the bus schedule, realizes he's stuck for a month. He writes part of a letter to his parents. Mocha cleans one of his wounds. She smells his blood and bites him again. Following a night of reflection on his life at Yokai Academy, Tsukyun writes a letter to his parents. He's relieved that students get their own dorm rooms, making his stay somewhat easier. The next morning, he notices some dorm mates struggling to maintain their human forms while sleeping. He shakes his head and gets water from a sink near his room, his mind filled with thoughts about Yokai. As Tsukyun heads to school, he sees 3 boys staring at Mocha, completely entranced by her beauty. Mocha spots Tsukyun and eagerly grabs his arm, much to his surprise and delight. Jealous, the boys are angry, but they hold back. Rumors have spread that Tsukyun defeated Seizo, though the story is greatly distorted. Mocha senses Tsukyun's distraction and pulls him along, leaving the envious boys behind. Unbeknownst to them, someone is observing from behind a tree. When they're alone, Mocha offers her assistance to Tsukyun, acknowledging his humanity. He's grateful and starts to wonder which Mocha is the real one, the gentle girl before him or the fierce one who fought Seizo. Suddenly, Mocha sways. She explains she skipped breakfast. Before Tsukyun can react, she bites his neck. When she's done, Tsukyun frantically covers his neck and dashes off, leaving Mocha to murmur an apology. At a school pond, Tsukyun examines his neck. He notes that although Mocha's bite left lipstick marks, at least there are no scars. He starts worrying about his future if Mocha keeps sucking his blood and ponders the unknown natures of other students. Just then, he spots a beautiful girl who has collapsed nearby. She asks for help and he obliges. The girl, appearing grateful, tries to seduce Tsukyun, who is startled but still agrees to escort her to the nurse's office. As they walk, she smirks to herself. On the rooftop, Mocha debates whether to apologize to Tsukyun for her impulsive act. Meanwhile, Tsukyun walks the girl to the vending machine. She tells him they share a class. Tsukyun realizes she must be a monster like everyone else. As the girl introduces herself as Kirimu, she puts Tsukyun under a spell just as Mocha arrives. Heartbroken, Mocha hears Tsukyun say harsh things to her. He walks away with Kirimu, confused about his own meanness. In class, the spell lifts. Tsukyun regrets his hurtful words, all while Mocha and Kirimu exchange icy glares. He attempts to apologize to Mocha afterward, but she's already gone. Elsewhere, Mocha drinks tomato juice and wonders about Kirimu, who boldly approaches her. Mocha hears Kirimu's plan to enchant all Yokai boys into her harem. Mocha criticizes her for being so open about her true nature, even as Kirimu vents her jealousy about Mocha's popularity. Tsukyun finds them and attempts another apology to Mocha, but Kirimu hypnotizes him again, making him insult Mocha about her vampiric habits. As Mocha tries to speak sense to him, Kirimu reveals that she has sniffed out Tsukyun's human scent. Heartbroken by a final, spell-induced insult, Mocha runs off in tears, leaving Kirimu to revel in her seeming victory. At the nurse's office, Tsukyun is weighed down with guilt for hurting Mocha again, while Kirimu internally gloats. She decides the time is ripe to place Tsukyun under her spell for good. Just then, an announcer bat interrupts, declaring the scene too adult-oriented for the audience. The focus shifts to Mocha, who grapples with self-doubt, questioning her friendship with Tsukyun. Suddenly, inner Mocha's voice emanates from the Rosario, warning of the peril Tsukyun is in due to Kirimu's charm magic. Urged to act, Mocha finds that inner Mocha goes silent, heightening her urgency to rescue Tsukyun. Back at the nurse's office, Kirimu has Tsukyun pinned down. As she leans in for a hypnotic kiss, Tsukyun musters all his strength to break free and hug her. Confused and stunned, Kirimu attempts to escape his grasp and reassert her control. However, Tsukyun confesses he cares for someone else and can't leave their hurtful exchange unresolved. Overwhelmed, Kirimu breaks into a fit, asking if he wants Mocha more than her. She admits to degrading herself to win him over. Realizing she has lost, she opts to kill him, transforming into her monstrous form, causing Tsukyun to panic. Just in time, Mocha bursts in and propels Kirimu through the window and far into the distance. Still puzzled, Tsukyun hears from Mocha that Kirimu is a succubus capable of entrancing men. This revelation clarifies Tsukyun's earlier inexplicable actions. However, Kirimu returns swiftly, gripping Tsukyun by the throat with her tail and pulling him outside, with Mocha hanging on. Unable to sustain the weight of both, Kirimu drops them into the woods. Seeing an opportunity, she sharpens her nails and slashes through trees as she lunges at them. Mocha urges Tsukyun to remove her Rosario, but it fails to come off. Kirimu threatens to kill them both, but Mocha tells her to spare Tsukyun. Kirimu chuckles, assuming Mocha is only a vampire attempting to preserve her favorite snack. Mocha corrects her. Sukyun means everything to her because he's the only true friend she's ever had, and she would gladly die to protect him. Kirimu believes that males are only designed to be enchanted and hence rejects the idea of friendship. Sukyun understands he shares Mocha's feelings and tugs on the Rosario, liberating inner Mocha. Kirimu is terrified now that inner Mocha has left, but she explains that she is on an essential mission. Her kind are few in number, so she must find her chosen one in order to continue her species. Inner Mocha sees the motive for wanting to enslave the boys as selfish, and decides to humiliate Kirimu by kicking her through the trees. Kirimu apologizes and promises to cease. Inner Mocha, on the other hand, does not want to take any chances, so she removes Kirimu's wings and tail. Kirimu, terrified at the prospect of being permanently injured, begs her not to in a quiet, terrified voice. Sukyun approaches Mocha, telling her that Kirimu emphasized that she wasn't doing this to be unkind and that she appears to be a nice person on the inside. Kirimu sobs with fearful relief. Inner Mocha says that she saved him in order to keep his blood alive. Unlike the other Mocha, she does not consider him a friend. She then shuts herself. Sukyun apologizes to Mocha the next day for what he said while under Kirimu's spell, but she doesn't seem to mind. Kirimu greets them and shows Sukyun that she has cooked cookies for him. Sukyun wonders why she has cooked cookies for him and discovers, much to his horror, that she has chosen him as her mate of fate. Kirimu and Mocha start dragging on him, which causes Mocha to bite him. Sukyun sat at his desk, putting pen to paper as he wrote a letter to his family about the surprising turn of events at Yakai Academy. Midterms had come much sooner than he anticipated, catching him off guard. His rank, a perfectly mediocre 128th in the freshman class. Just as he was pondering his middle-of-the-road performance, he overheard a conversation among 3 male students. They appeared to have difficulty maintaining a human form. Their chatter revealed they were thrilled to be nearly 100 places behind him in the standings. To his astonishment, Mocha ranked 13th in the class. Several male students nearby couldn't help but note how she was not just beautiful, but also incredibly smart. Although Sukyun offered her his warmest congratulations, Mocha brushed off her achievement as a fluke. She then made a surprising offer she would help him study for the next test. As their eyes met, a sense of shared affection hung in the air, which made the male students seethe with jealousy. However, they weren't the only ones watching. Nearby, Yukari Sendo, a young prodigy who had skipped 4 grades, observed them intently. She was captivated by Mocha's beauty. Although Yukari was the smartest student in the school, her class president warned her not to push her luck. Her witch outfit was against the school rules, he told her, revealing her true nature. Irritated, Yukari retaliated by dropping washtubs on his head and those of his 2 companions. Though Yukari found it amusing, her laughter quickly faded as the class president moved in, ready to retaliate. Mocha stepped in, urging him not to lay a hand on a girl. Feeling the increasing attention, he backed off. Sukyun, who had observed the tense exchange, was not pleased with the class president's attitude. Later in the cafeteria, Yukari thanked Mocha for her timely intervention. While Sukyun and Mocha praised her intelligence, Yukari humbly dismissed it, admitting instead that she was smitten with Mocha. Sukyun had to suppress a nosebleed when Yukari asked Mocha to be her girlfriend. Mocha accepted, although her meaning was misinterpreted by Yukari. She wielded her magic wand and manipulated cleaning supplies to harass Sukyun. In doing so, she revealed her true witchy nature. What Yukari didn't realize was that the class president and his cronies were lurking nearby. Her actions had just given them the perfect reason to target her. In the nurse's office, Sukyun was getting treated for his injuries by Kirimu. She informed him that Yukari was actively trying to keep Mocha away from him. Seeing an opportunity, Kirimu began to sympathize with Sukyun's situation and even hinted that Yukari's classmates disliked her too. Outside, Yukari was still up to her tricks. Using a voodoo doll, she controlled Sukyun's actions, making him punch himself twice. But just then, Mocha arrived, having lost track of Yukari earlier. Kirimu clarified she hadn't hypnotized Sukyun. Although Mocha was irritated, everyone noticed Yukari giggling outside the window, solving the mystery of Sukyun's strange behavior. Back in the classroom, Sukyun asked Mocha and Kirimu to address Yukari's troubling antics. He even warned Yukari that her pranks would prevent her from making friends. Kirimu blushed, commenting that Yukari's pranks didn't bother her. Initially, Yukari seemed shocked at Sukyun's blunt advice, but quickly shifted to arrogance, stating she didn't need friends who weren't as smart as her. She added that she'd always been alone. Sukyun saw the loneliness behind Yukari's words and tried to reach out, but his efforts were met with another prank. Yukari laughed and dashed out of the classroom. Mocha stopped Sukyun from chasing her, pointing out that Yukari was just a kid and hurting inside. Meanwhile, Yukari was lost in her thoughts, reflecting on her lonely life at Yakai. No one liked her because they believed she used magic to cheat her way to good grades. That was the root of her prankster behavior. Just as she was musing, the class president and his posse confronted her, intent on teaching her a lesson for breaking the school's primary rule. Back in the classroom, Mocha continued to press Tsukyun, saying that Yukari's loneliness mirrored his own situation. But Tsukyun, still upset from Yukari's pranks, was hardly in the mood to listen. Mocha dashed out of the classroom, declaring she was going to find Yukari. Kirumu then revealed to Tsukyun that witches like Yukari are neither monsters nor humans, but something in between. Tsukyun was taken aback. Kirumu explained that witches were unique, their true form didn't set them apart from humans. Only their magic did. This led to prejudice from both monsters and humans alike. Tsukyun realized his previous understanding was flawed. Meanwhile, Yukari found herself by the school pond, cornered by the class president and his posse who had transformed into lizard men. They planned to eat her, snatching away her wand to leave her defenseless. Just then, Mocha arrived. Ignoring the threat, she spoke earnestly to Yukari about the pain of loneliness, a pain she had felt before meeting Tsukyun. Moved, Yukari hugged Mocha tightly. The lizardmen were irked by the interruption. When Yukari bit the class president's tail, Tsukyun stepped in, taking a swipe intended for her. He told Yukari he knew the feeling of loneliness too. Realizing he was injured while saving her, Yukari felt a surge of guilt. Just then, Kirumu swooped in, saving them from becoming lizard lunch. Tsukyun stood in front of his friends, ready to protect them. This act made Kirumu swoon. However, injured and off balance, Tsukyun removed Mocha's Rosario, unleashing her inner self. Rather than feeling threatened, the class president complained about Mocha's appearance, her dyed hair, and short skirt. His minions charged but were swiftly knocked away by Mocha. In a fit of indignation, the class president claimed her strength violated school rules. Mocha coolly kicked him into the pond, suggesting he cool off. Yukari asked did he help her, still puzzled. Tsukyun replied because they are friends. Yukari broke down in tears. Days later, Yukari had turned over a new leaf. She apologized to her classmates for her pranks, and they reciprocated, admitting their prejudice. Mocha and Kirumu talked about Yukari's newfound maturity while carrying supplies to their classroom. When they arrived, they found Yukari hugging Tsukyun. Yukari announced her classroom was next door and she'd visit often, now loving Tsukyun as much as she loved Mocha. This sparked a tug-of-war between Kirumu and Yukari, each pulling at Tsukyun. Mocha finally declared that Tsukyun was hers and proceeded to bite him. Tsukyun yelled in pain, complaining that Mocha would suck him dry if she kept this up. It's been nearly a month since Tsukyun started at Yakai Academy. Despite his best efforts to fit in and keep his human identity a secret, he's struggling. His internal monologue reflects this as he stands amidst a familiar scene, Mocha and Kirumu tugging at him from either side while Yukari clings to his back. In class, Tsukyun is lost in thought, pondering his situation. When called upon by the teacher, Ms. Neknon, he blurts out, "What the hell should I do?" instead of reading the page. It leaves him red-faced and embarrassed. Later on the school's rooftop, Mocha senses something is off with Tsukyun. He lies, attributing it to sleepiness. They exchange a tender gaze, broken only when Mocha leans in to bite his neck. Kirumu interrupts, scolding Mocha for taking too much of Tsukyun's blood. While Tsukyun insists he's fine, Kirumu tries to seduce him with her hypnotic charm. Mocha puts an end to it, reminding Kirumu of the dangerous implications of her actions. While taking out the trash, Tsukyun reflects on his odd circle of friends, a vampire, a succubus, and a witch. His introspection is cut short when he's ambushed by three students, Kozo, Kubasaki, and Basaburo, the self-proclaimed presidents of the fan club coalition. They idolize Mocha, Yukari, and Kirumu, and consider Tsukyun their rival. The beating begins, but they're interrupted by a flurry of magically animated trash. It's Yukari coming to Tsukyun's rescue. Mocha and Kirumu also show up, and the three admirers are in awe. Yukari uses her magic to animate nearby cleaning supplies to attack the boys, but a stray bucket hits Tsukyun, allowing the trio to escape. That night, nursing his wounds, Tsukyun questions his place at Yakai Academy. He's a weakling, dependent on the protection of girls. He talks to his unresponsive cell phone, hoping for a sign that never comes. He's left contemplating if he should leave and return to the human world when the bus arrives. Meanwhile, Kozo, Kubasaki, and Basaburo meet in their club room, discussing their obsession with the girls. Kozo suggests getting rid of Tsukyun to have the girls to themselves. Above them, an announcer bat chuckles at the thought. At lunch the next day, Kirumu and Yukari share their experiences of being stalked by Kubasaki and Basaburo. Mocha hasn't had the same problem. Kirumu proposes they act as Tsukyun's bodyguards. Though initially resistant, Tsukyun is overruled by Mocha who, in a moment of unintended candor, tells him he's not strong, before hurriedly adding that maybe he is stronger in his monster form. Tsukyun finishes his lunch and heads outside, closely followed by Mocha who wants to apologize for her earlier mistake. Without explaining why, Tsukyun runs off, leaving her puzzled. As evening falls on Yakai Academy, Tsukyun leaves his tidy dorm room. Elsewhere, Yukari is cheerfully using her magic to clean the school grounds. She spots Tsukyun walking by the fence, his face serious. Up on the roof, Mocha is lost in thought, wondering if Tsukyun is still mad at her. Yukari joins her, sharing that she saw Tsukyun carrying a bag and looking serious. Mocha immediately jumps to the conclusion that he's planning to leave the school. Tsukyun arrives at the bus stop, waiting. Out of nowhere, the fan club coalition appears behind him. Kozo, one of its members, is upset that Tsukyun mentioned Mocha, whom they consider a sacred goddess, so casually. Though the club doesn't know his destination, they know they can reveal their true forms since they're off school grounds. When they do, Tsukyun is far from intimidated. The club misreads his expression, thinking he finds them lame. Speechless, Tsukyun can't think of a way to boost their morale. The club reveals that they've been idolizing the girls out of a sense of inadequacy, resenting Tsukyun for attracting girls effortlessly. They start to physically attack him, taking advantage of his human weakness. Just then, Mocha's voice rings out, pleading for them to stop. All heads turn skyward to see Mocha, Kirumu, and Yukari flying in. Kirumu grumbles about being the designated flyer while Yukari apologizes for forgetting her flying spell. Landing, Kirumu quickly kicks Kubasaki, releasing Tsukyun. Yukari conjures a chair for him to sit on. Mocha rushes to Tsukyun's side, concerned for his well-being. He laments needing to be saved again. In a swift motion, Mocha slaps him, reminding him that friendship is about mutual support. After all, Tsukyun had also rescued Mocha, Kirumu, and Yukari in different ways, making them even. The fan club trio grows envious as Tsukyun gets attention from the girls they idolize. Determined to handle them, the girls spring into action. Yukari starts to run away from Kubasaki, who creeps her out. Kirumu has trouble landing hits on Basaburo's gelatinous form. Mocha, unlike her alter ego, isn't much of a fighter. Tsukyun realizes the way to stop the relentless trio is to call them what they are, creepy stalkers. This strikes a chord, triggering self-pity and further lowering their self-esteem. Fueled by resentment, they morph into a combined, powerful giant. With a single swing, they send Tsukyun flying. Rushing to his side, Mocha accidentally pulls off his Rosario, unleashing inner Mocha. The trio is instantly awestruck, declaring their new devotion to her. Following her cue, Kirumu kicks the towering amalgamation from behind, and Yukari trips it with a rock. Inner Mocha delivers a powerful kick, dispersing the giant back into its original, pitiable for MS. They vow to rename their club in honor of Inner Mocha before fainting. Inner Mocha informs Tsukyun that leaving Yakai Academy doesn't suit her needs. Without him, she'd starve, and her other self would be inconsolable. Kirumu and Yukari embrace him, urging him not to go. Confused, Tsukyun asks who told them he was leaving. Yukari points at his bag, which he clarifies is filled with letters for his parents. Just as the bus arrives, the bus driver commends Tsukyun for staying connected to his family. Inner Mocha mutters that Tsukyun is a perplexing individual before sealing herself back. Outer Mocha, now restored, sleepily clings to Tsukyun, pleading for him to stay. Tsukyun reassures himself he will, turning off his now useless phone. The next day, Ms. Nekonom announces new payphones connecting to the human world, and a more frequent bus schedule. Tsukyun is shocked. Mocha queries his thoughts. Before he can respond, she bites him in the middle of class, eliciting a mix of embarrassment and pain from Tsukyun. In a private moment, Mocha thanks him for willingly letting her suck his blood. Tsukyun daydreams about an idyllic scene with her, only to snap back to reality, shrieking in pain from her bite. Mocha walks away, and Tsukyun ponders if she knows why he lets her feed on him. When she yells for him to hurry to class, he concludes she doesn't. In the classroom, Ms. Nekonom mandates that everyone join a club to better understand humans. Tsukyun's daydream flashes before him, prompting chuckles and confused glances from Seizo, Mocha, and Kirumu. The duo head to the club recruitment fair but find the first few options, ghost photography, acupuncture, mummy, and a science club, too unnerving. The next day, it's raining. Tsukyun thinks Mocha won't show up because of the water. In class, Ms. Nekonom ironically lectures on the differences between vampires and mermaids concerning water. The day after, Tsukyun finds Mocha by the pool and apologizes. Although Mocha is willing to just cheer from the sidelines, Tsukyun decides against joining the swim club. Ms. Nekonom, overhearing them, suggests they join the newspaper club. Kirimu and Yukari pop up, declaring they'll join too. Ecstatic to have 4 new members, Ms. Nekonom does a celebratory jump into the pool. Thrilled they'll be in the same club, Mocha bites Tsukyun again. The next day starts routinely. Without waiting for Tsukyun's consent, Mocha bites into his neck to draw blood. Drained, Tsukyun collapses, contemplating the irony that his death by anemia might become a news club headline. Kirimu appears, hugging Tsukyun and giving Mocha a scornful glare. Yukari also lunges for Tsukyun, but Kirimu sidesteps her. Amidst the chaos, Tsukyun's consciousness fades due to low oxygen and anemia. As Mocha and Kirimu lock eyes in a tense standoff, Yukari blurts out her concern for Tsukyun's condition. The girls panic, with Kirimu shaking Tsukyun in an attempt to wake him. Remarkably, this daily drama hasn't yet been the end of him. In their first newspaper club meeting, they find the room surprisingly empty. Ms. Nekonom reassures them, just as a young man named Jin walks in. He hands flowers to Mocha and Kirimu, while Yukari gets one from Kirimu's bouquet. Jin, being the eldest, is introduced as the de facto president before Ms. Nekonom exits for a meeting. Jin explains the club's purpose, mixing elements of danger and mundane reporting. Inspired by a recent peeping incident, Kirimu suggests they use their platform to catch the culprit. Jin agrees, emphasizing the need for informants. Following this lead, they post flyers at the school entrance asking for information. Amidst the flurry of tasks, Tsukyun finds himself wondering about Jin's character, balancing a strange mix of humor and bravado. Yukari volunteers to help with the flyers, but Jin dismisses her, citing her small stature. Tsukyun returns with more flyers. Jin instructs Mocha and Kirimu to hang them higher, while curiously squatting down. Tsukyun grows suspicious, peering over to see Jin's true motive, a lecherous glance up the girl's skirts. Tsukyun shouts to alert the girls about Jin's peeping, but his warning falls on deaf ears. Instead, Jin flips the accusation, saying it was Tsukyun peering up their skirts. Mocha and Kirimu slap him in disbelief. Though Kirimu later apologizes, Mocha leaves, agitated. Jin mocks Tsukyun, claiming he's ruined the club's plans for the day, and walks away. Alone, Tsukyun calls out Mocha's name, his voice tinged with regret. In a restroom, Mocha ponders the day's events. She even checks her own outfit, wondering what Tsukyun might have seen. Inner Mocha chides her through the rosario, hinting that her concerns reveal mutual feelings for Tsukyun. Meanwhile, Jin stands on the school roof that night, spying into Mocha's dorm room, captivated by her beauty. A howl cuts through the air. The next day, Tsukyun attempts to apologize, but Mocha gives him the silent treatment, despite inwardly believing his innocence. In another part of the school, Jin watches girls change in a locker room. He overhears talk of Tsukyun and Mocha possibly being a couple and panics, drawing attention but disappearing before Tsukyun walks by. Tsukyun becomes an easy scapegoat, assumed to be the peeping Tom. Sitting on the roof, Jin plots to separate Tsukyun and Mocha. Back in the classroom, both Mocha and Kirimu cast skeptical glances at Tsukyun. Mocha's expression turns sad, hinting at deeper feelings. Tsukyun exits and finds Jin, who claims to believe him and offers his help to mend things with Mocha. Jin leads Tsukyun to a window, disclosing his own infatuation with Mocha. Realizing it's a window to the girls' locker room, Tsukyun is caught in a trap. Jin snaps a photo, threatening to show it to Mocha should Tsukyun reveal the truth. A can of hairspray is then hurled from inside, knocking Tsukyun out. Accused once more of being a peeper, Tsukyun tries to defend himself, but stumbles over his words when Mocha arrives. The girls proceed to pummel him into unconsciousness. Kirimu and Yukari hear of the peeping incident. While Yukari remains skeptical, Kirimu is irritated, thinking Tsukyun would only be interested in her. Confronted by Yukari's disdainful look, Kirimu decides they should investigate to find out if Tsukyun was framed. That night, Mocha finds herself on the school roof, contemplating the turmoil surrounding Tsukyun. Jin appears, offering to help her forget Tsukyun and leans in for a kiss. Mocha shoves him away. Jin then shows her the incriminating photo he took of Tsukyun, claiming it's circulating around campus. Mocha's shock somehow resonates with the unconscious Tsukyun, awakening him. Jin insists that Tsukyun moved a drum to peek inside the girls' locker room, but Kirimu and Yukari, now dressed as detectives, arrive just in time. They debunk Jin's story, pointing out inconsistencies like the absence of the drum in the photo and eyewitness accounts. The mounting evidence cracks Jin's frail alibi wide open, revealing him as the true peeper. Cornered, Jin's surprise turns to desperation. He drops additional peeping photos and transforms into a werewolf. The narrator Bat swoops in to explain that Jin is indeed a werewolf, capable of transforming at will, not just during a full moon. Just as Jin lunges at Mocha, Sukyun rushes in, ignoring Kirimu's warning about the werewolf's strength. He's tripped by Jin, accidentally pulling off Mocha's Rosario seal in the process. As Jin stands over Sukyun, Mocha begins her transformation, cloaked in bats descending from the moonlit sky. Jin is enthralled by inner Mocha's beauty but decides to assert his dominance. Using the speed boost provided by the full moon, he dodges her first attack. However, his advantage disappears when the moon slips behind clouds. Seizing the moment, Mocha grips his wrist tightly. When Jin threatens her, Mocha's ire boils over. She delivers a powerful kick, sending him crashing into a guardrail that breaks under his weight, and Jin plunges into the abyss below. The following day, the newspaper club circulates flyers that exonerate Sukyun and identify Jin as the true culprit. As girls chase Jin for revenge, Sukyun approaches Mocha to discuss the peculiar events. His attempt at conversation is cut short when he almost peeks up her skirt again, earning him a swift kick. Mocha starts to apologize but is soon overcome by the aroma of Sukyun's blood. Despite Kirimu and Yukari's vocal reservations, Mocha can't resist her urges and proceeds to suck his blood. After a successful day of newspaper sales, Mocha suggests they should celebrate. Sukyun, Kirimu, and Yukari all agree. Sukyun wonders where Jin has gone, as he was with them just moments ago. Kirimu dismisses his absence, suspecting he's off photographing or flirting with girls. Yukari chimes in, labeling Jin as the enemy of all women. As if on cue, Jin is seen walking with two girls, recruiting models for the newspaper club. The group's attention shifts to a quiet, out-of-uniform girl who seems puzzled by the concept of friendship. She asks for a newspaper, which Sukyun supplies from his pocket. The girl, intrigued by Sukyun, comments on how cute he is before exiting. No one knows who she is, but they quickly shake off their curiosity, eagerly planning an after-school party. In class, the teacher, Ms. Nekono, announces a missing student, Mizore Shirayuki, is finally back after an extended absence. To everyone's astonishment, it's the mysterious girl from earlier. Sukyun, Mocha, and Kirimu are visibly shocked. Post-class, while discussing party plans, Kirimu tries to get cozy with Sukyun. Mocha intervenes, pulling Kirimu away. When they leave, Sukyun senses someone watching him. It's Mizore. She reveals her admiration for his work in the Yakai Gazette, showing him a scrapbook filled with his articles, and her disturbingly affectionate notes. Mizore believes Sukyun's writing reflects the loneliness she feels, making him a kindred spirit. In the faculty lounge, Ms. Nekono is cautioned by other teachers about Mizore. She had been a problematic student in junior high and needs close monitoring. Ms. Nekono agrees, albeit reluctantly. At a pond, Mizore skillfully skips a stone 9 times, celebrating her little victory. Sukyun congratulates her but starts to leave, sensing the gathering party he's missing. Mizore grabs him, her tone turning serious. Cold winds swirl as she states Sukyun must be hers alone, hinting at dire consequences for Mocha if he refuses. Meanwhile, in the newspaper club room, Mocha waits for her friends. The door opens, but it's not Sukyun or the others, it's Mizore. Water drips from her as she darkly informs Mocha that Sukyun won't be coming. Her hands tighten around Mocha's neck, declaring that eliminating her is the only way to make Sukyun solely hers. Mocha strikes back, slapping Mizore and shattering part of her head. Mizore reveals that she's an ice puppet and forms an ice blade with her arm, aiming to kill Mocha. Mocha screams for Sukyun's help. Meanwhile, Sukyun finds himself thrown onto a frozen pond. Mizore, standing over him, reveals she's a snow fairy who can control ice. Ice envelops Sukyun's legs, immobilizing him. Mizore speaks of her loneliness and the hope that Sukyun shares this feeling. Just as he begins to lose hope, Sukyun hears Mocha's voice. Mizore is baffled to see Mocha, carried by Kirimu, rushing toward them. Her ice puppet was supposed to kill Mocha. It turns out, Kirimu saved the day by smashing her love potion laced cake onto the puppet. Angered, Mizore tries to block their way with a wall of ice, but Kirimu crashes Mocha into Sukyun, freeing him. Mizore lunges at Mocha, but Sukyun blocks her path, insisting he isn't lonely. Feeling rejected, Mizore screams and disappears in a whirlwind of snow. Kirimu notices the ice weakening without Mizore's magic, and they all plunge into the water below. Elsewhere, Mr. Katsubo watches 2 female students leave the track, mumbling about how fast they're growing up. Disturbed, he wanders off, only to discover Mizore nearby, shedding tears. Recognizing her, he asks what's wrong. Mizore turns to look at him, her eyes filled with emotion. Back in the cozy confines of the newspaper club room, Mocha, Sukyun, and Kirimu find solace in warm blankets, still chilled from their icy run-in with Mizore. Kirimu grumbles about her ruined cake, dismissively referring to Mizore as Frosty the Snow Skank. Yukari, sensing the tension, steps outside. There, she encounters a clearly panicked Ms. Nekonom who spills the news Mizore is in big trouble. In the dimly lit faculty lounge, they get the full story. Mr. Katsubo is now lying in a hospital bed, and Mizore is the prime suspect. Sukyun, skeptical, questions if there's concrete proof. Ms. Ririko discloses that Mr. Katsubo himself pointed the finger at Mizore, who's now facing immediate expulsion. Kirumu and Yukari theorize that Mizore might have gone off the deep end because she felt rejected, a likely scenario given her personality. Ignoring the cautious advice of his friends, Sukyun leaves to search for Mizore. As he walks out, he crosses paths with Jin but doesn't pause to chat. He's on a mission. Sukyun finds Mizore at the cliffs, where she's engrossed in the ocean's infinite expanse. Mustering courage, he tells her about Mr. Katsubo's condition and the dire expulsion hanging over her head. He suggests that if she apologizes quickly, they might let her stay. Instead of agreeing, Mizore's emotions snowball, quite literally, as a flurry of snow whips around her. Just then, Mocha, Kirumu, and Yukari burst onto the scene, waving photos in their hands. The pictures, taken by Jin, reveal Mr. Katsubo's shameful act. He had tried to molest Mizore. Sukyun feels like a bucket of cold water hit him. He had blamed the victim. Mizore's emotional turmoil escalates. She summons a snowstorm, and her feelings manifest as ice constructs, each uttering words born from her darkest fears and doubts. Suddenly, the cliff starts to give way. Sukyun reaches out in desperation, grabbing Mizore's arm to stop her fall. Meanwhile, Inner Mocha makes her appearance after Sukyun yanks off the rosary. She makes quick work of the icy constructs, shattering them into pieces. With a stern face, she pulls Sukyun and Mizore to safety, and lectures Mizore about choosing life over despair. Finally back in the newspaper club room, everyone, except Jin, is bundled in blankets. Ms. Nekonom thanks them for their daring rescue of Mizore. Just then, the door creaks open, and Mizore steps in, her hair noticeably shorter. She explains that she cut her hair as a sign of her fresh start, prompting Jin to enthusiastically snap a photo of her. Sukyun extends his gratitude toward Jin for the pivotal photos, which exonerated Mizore. Jin shrugs it off as all in a day's work. But when additional questionable photos tumble from his pocket, Kirumu and Yukari unleash a flurry of punches and kicks, scolding him for his perverted tendencies. As this unfolds, Mocha turns to Sukyun and announces that she's feeling quite thirsty. Without further ado, she sinks her fangs into him, quenching her thirst as Mizore watches them quietly from the doorway. It's a bright morning at Yokai Academy. Male students can't help but stare at Ms. Ririko Kagome, their math teacher, who they find incredibly attractive. A gust of wind causes her skirt to lift, eliciting elation from the young men. Once the wind settles, Ms. Ririko notices the unconscious boys and gives a shy laugh. In math class, Sukyun finds himself under the spotlight. He's asked to solve a problem but is utterly clueless. Ms. Ririko scolds him for his lack of focus, reminding him that finals are looming. Sukyun is overwhelmed. Later, on the school's rooftop, Sukyun seeks academic help from Mocha. Due to various adventures and the craziness that is Yokai Academy, his time for academics has suffered. Mocha invites him to her dorm room for a study session that evening. Internally, Sukyun panics, aware he'd be too distracted to concentrate if he accepts. Just then, Kirumu bursts in, offering to be Sukyun's study buddy. Yukari swoops in on her broom, insisting she'd be a more suitable tutor given her intellect. Unexpectedly, Mizore also joins, slipping through the door to request help as she's been absent for quite a while. Mocha enthusiastically suggests they all study together. In the newspaper club room, the study session unfolds. Yukari takes on the role of instructor, to varying degrees of success among her peers. Mocha and Sukyun seem to follow along. Kirumu struggles, and Mizore is lost in her own world, scribbling Sukyun's name repeatedly. During a brief moment, Mocha offers to share her notes with Sukyun. He thinks of photocopying them but then realizes the school probably lacks such technology. Their eyes lock briefly before Kirumu interrupts, asking for Sukyun's help with her studies. Mizore then inquires how complex math topics like integrals and derivatives differ from basic addition and subtraction, leaving Yukari speechless. As the school day winds down, Sukyun and Mocha are at their lockers, swapping their shoes. Ms. Ririko appears, asking about their activities. Upon learning they had a study session, she dismisses it as ineffective, insisting only teachers can properly educate students. She tells Sukyun to attend her tutoring sessions the next day. The next day, Sukyun shares his ordeal with his friends. Kirimu points out that Ms. Ririko has a penchant for going overboard with her passion for math. The conversation shifts to the impending summer break, and Sukyun daydreams about a beach outing with the girls. Noticing Mocha's surprise, he pledges to buckle down, pass his math exam, and make the most of the upcoming summer. However, each of the girls interjects with their own ideas, creating a lively brainstorming session. When Sukyun arrives at the tutoring room, he's taken aback by Ms. Ririko's rather unconventional outfit. She explains that she's wearing it to motivate him to study harder, which he finds odd given the teacher-student dynamic. Ms. Ririko agrees, acknowledging her role as a teacher, but she also mentions her keen sense of his enticing human scent, making Sukyun uncomfortable. He tries to change the subject, but Ms. Ririko hints at the intensity of her private tutoring sessions. Suddenly, a transformation sound from outside startles Sukyun. Elsewhere, Mocha decides to continue compiling notes for Sukyun as her way of assisting him. The following day, after gym class, Mocha inquires about the other students' readiness for finals, but most admit they aren't prepared. Kirimu, in need of math help, tries to convince Yukari to tutor her, resorting to tying her up and dragging her along. They encountered Sukyun, who mumbles math formulas, something they haven't covered in class yet. Kirimu excitedly asks him to tutor her, but he evades her request, leaving her to stumble. Mocha approaches Sukyun, offering him her math notes, but she senses something amiss with him. Before she can delve into it, Ms. Ririko intervenes, inspecting the notebook. Irritated by Mocha's presence, Ms. Ririko concludes that Mocha is the cause of Sukyun's academic troubles. She whisks Sukyun away for further tutoring, leaving Mocha with doubts about her impact on Sukyun's studies. She decides to continue preparing notes for him. As Mocha writes notes while humming a song, a montage depicts Sukyun's unresponsiveness to Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizora's attempts to reach him, indicating a growing concern. Later, during a tutoring session with Ms. Ririko, Sukyun involuntarily utters "Where's Mocha?" Ms. Ririko knocks him down and urges him to work harder, revealing that his human scent is an aphrodisiac for her. As she prepares to intensify his learning experience, Sukyun's scream catches Mocha's attention from the shoe lockers. Inside the tutoring room, it's revealed that Ms. Ririko is a Lamia, using the flower-like appendage at the end of her tail to implant knowledge into Sukyun while keeping him focused on his studies through electric shocks. Sukyun starts reciting math formulas. Mocha, alerted by his cries, opens the door to investigate. Ms. Ririko dismisses her as a pest and pushes Sukyun to continue studying. Suddenly, Mizora appears from the ceiling, surprising Ms. Ririko. Appalled by Ms. Ririko's methods, Mizora unleashes a burst of cold air to cool her down. However, Ms. Ririko retaliates by knocking over candles, obstructing Mizora's intervention. Mocha strikes Ms. Ririko with a candle, pinning her to a wall in anger, causing Mocha's notes to scatter. Sukyun notices Mocha's notes and snaps out of his trance. He prevents Ms. Ririko from harming Mocha and thanks her for the notebook, which he intends to use gratefully. He ignores Ms. Ririko's angry tirade. Just as Ms. Ririko is about to use her powers on them, Sukyun removes Mocha's Rosario, unleashing Inner Mocha. Ms. Ririko criticizes Mocha for being a poor student, but Inner Mocha asserts that she's the one teaching Ms. Ririko a lesson about her place. Dazed, Ms. Ririko thanks Inner Mocha for her guidance, just before Mizora freezes her solid. On the day of the final, Sukyun is overwhelmed with stress. However, he thanks Mocha for her tutoring over the past few days. She happily bites him and indulges in his blood. Sukyun scored 89% in math. Mizora managed to pass with 56%. Yukari aced it with 100%. But Kirimu fell short with 46%, necessitating her attendance at summer school for makeup classes. Sukyun stood at the bus stop, and Mocha joined him. He couldn't help but blush as Mocha looked cute in her street clothes. Mocha asked if something was wrong, thinking it might be about their trip. In a flashback, their teacher, Ms. Nekonome, said the newspaper club would go to the human world for a trip. Sukyun questioned this since they weren't supposed to go there. Ms. Nekonome mentioned it might be okay if a teacher approved it. In the present, Sukyun and Mocha sat on a tree branch. Mocha reminded Sukyun that she used to live in the human world before coming to Yakai Academy. Sukyun wondered if she'd be okay going back, and she said she was excited. She leaned on him, saying he'd protect her. They tried to get closer for a kiss, but Kirimu's complaints interrupted them. Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizora arrived, seeing Sukyun and Mocha were already there. Sukyun and Mocha climbed down from the tree, laughing nervously. Ms. Nekonom arrived with the bus and the bus driver. Sukyun wondered where Jin was, and Yukari explained that he failed too many subjects, likely because he took photos instead of going to class. We then see Jin taking makeup exams under Ms. Ririko's watchful eye. Kirumu laughed at Jin until Yukari pointed out that she also failed her math final. The bus arrived in the human world without any issues. Sukyun recognized the place and shouted that he was back home, surprising Mocha, who worried it might reveal his true nature. Kirumu asked why Sukyun was so happy, like he was human. Mizore and Yukari agreed. Mocha quickly lied, saying Sukyun used to live in the human world before Yakai Academy. Sukyun agreed, saying he felt attached to the human world. Kirumu agreed, and Mizore smiled, but Yukari seemed suspicious. At the beach, they played with a ball. Yukari asked Sukyun if he was afraid of the human world, and he said Yakai Academy was scarier. Yukari complimented his bravery. During the game, Mocha scratched herself while diving for the ball. Sukyun worried, but Mocha had sand in her swimsuit. Sukyun got lost in thought but was hit by Mizore's shot, and she apologized. Kirumu was relieved that Sukyun was just comfortable in the human world, as she had suspected he might be human. Sukyun and Mocha worried someone might discover their secret, but Yukari scolded Kirumu for her suspicion, and Mizore agreed with her. Mocha changed the subject, and a playful dispute erupted between Kirumu and Yukari over the ball. It escalated into a contest to see who could fail to catch the ball first. Yukari even tried to use her magic, but Sukyun had to intervene to prevent her from using magic near other humans. Yukari apologized for her behavior. A short while later, Sukyun and Mocha sat on the beach, enjoying the ocean's beauty. They leaned in for a kiss, but Kirumu called out to Sukyun, causing them to miss, and Mocha grew noticeably annoyed. Kirumu invited Sukyun to join her, Yukari, and Mizore in the water. Sukyun tried to convince Mocha to come along but remembered that vampires couldn't go in the water, so he decided to stay on the beach with her. Mocha was surprised that Sukyun didn't want to have fun without her and leaned in once more to kiss him. However, Kirumu thought Mocha was trying to suck Sukyun's blood and yelled at her to stop. Mocha explained that she couldn't help herself because Sukyun smelled delicious, making Sukyun think she was after his blood. Kirumu, Yukari, and Mizore argued over who would take care of Sukyun if he collapsed from blood loss, starting a tug-of-war with him. Mocha offered to help, but the others shouted it was because of her. Mocha shrank away in embarrassment. Amidst the chaos, Sukyun noticed a field of sunflowers on a cliff above them, and everyone decided to investigate. They admired the beauty of the sunflower field, wondering why it was on a hill near the beach. Unbeknownst to them, an unknown figure watched from afar. Nearby, a couple arrived on the same hill, but the girl told her boyfriend that they should leave. People had gone missing in the area, and rumors said a witch was behind it due to anger over a development plan that would destroy the hill and sunflowers. Yukari overheard their conversation and wondered if there really was another witch in the area. Kirumu overheard the couple's talk and felt compelled to express her concerns to Yukari. She spoke out against Yukari's relatives abducting individuals. Yukari responded by calling Kirumu an idiot who believed whatever she heard. Kirumu expressed her displeasure with witches, claiming that they irritated her. Yukari, on the other hand, professed her disdain for succubi, implying that their sole redeemable feature was their seductiveness. Kirumu was ashamed, and she wondered whether there was more to Yukari's statements than met the eye. Yukari threw a tub at Kirumu in a fit of rage, attracting the attention of a hidden figure among the sunflowers. Kirumu demanded an explanation for Yukari's unexpected outburst, but she was met with another washtub. Kirumu and Yukari were having an altercation when the rest of the club arrived. Sukyun encouraged Kirumu to calm down after she complained about Yukari's actions. The party decided to return to the beach because Ms. Nekonom could become concerned if they stayed any longer, especially since they hadn't told her of their whereabouts. Following the departure of the group, an unknown figure emerged from the sunflowers, revealing herself to be a female of the same age as the members of the newspaper club. She felt it was her responsibility to inform her ladyship of the existence of another witch. Despite the club's complaints, Ms. Nekonom headed out in the evening to fetch fish for their lunch, despite the fact that they already had a cooler full of food. She urged that since they were near the ocean, they should eat human world fish, which she claimed was the best. Mocha wondered if this trip had been planned solely to provide an excuse to eat seafood. Yukari volunteered to help Sukyun move the cooler but declined out of worry for her safety. Despite his protests, Kirumu intervened to assist Sukyun. Yukari then sought to give her assistance with other jobs, such as cutting vegetables and erecting the tent. Her friends, however, sent her away each time, fearful that she would be wounded or cause problems. Yukari sat on a nearby rock, heartbroken and rejected, wondering why her friends wouldn't let her help. She didn't realize her suggestions might not have been feasible. Coolers were heavy, she lacked cooking experience, and 2 people setting up sleeping bags in the tent would be too crowded. Yukari's curiosity got the best of her when she noticed a presence on the hill and decided to explore. She was curious if there was another witch among them. Yukari noticed someone in the shadow of a tree as the moon shone down on the hill. She wanted to know the identity of the lurking witch, and the figure who had been spying on them before introduced herself as Ruby. Following the introductions, Ruby approaches Yukari and asks if they may be friends. Yukari immediately accepts her new friend's offer of friendship, and she is quickly embraced. Ms. Nekonom returns to the shore and opens the cooler to view the fish she has caught. Her surprise grows when Mocha points out that her tail has reappeared. Concerned, Ms. Nekonom quickly concocts an explanation, stating she was simply counting the fish. Sukyun notices Yukari has vanished amid the group's laughter. Meanwhile, on the hill, Ruby tells Yukari about the generations of witches who have lived there and the coming plan of her ladyship to destroy mankind for the hill's safety. This information astounded Yukari. Sukyun appears, curious about Yukari's new acquaintance. Yukari tries to make introductions, but Ruby believes Sukyun has come to desecrate Witch Hill and summons monstrous plants to attack him. Yukari, on the other hand, intervenes, destroying the plant monsters and strongly stating her intention not to let her companion suffer harm. Ruby's perspective changes after witnessing the strength of their friendship. She restrains Yukari and orders the deployment of more plant monsters to assault Sukyun. Yukari summons powerful tarot cards, changing the plants into a salad, fueled by Kirumu's taunting. Because Inner Mocha is not present, the struggle goes unnoticed by the bat. Everyone else arrives, concerned that Sukyun and Yukari will uncover the aftermath of the fight. Yukari apologizes to Ruby for their inability to be friends and departs with Kirumu and Mizor. Kirumu offers that Yukari allow her to carry her down the hill, but Yukari refuses, claiming that witches heal rapidly. Mocha realizes she and Sukyun are alone for the first time since summer vacation began and attempts to kiss him. Ruby, on the other hand, injures Sukyun in order to take Yukari with her as directed by her ladyship. Sukyun loses consciousness as a result of the agony and moderate blood loss. Mocha screams in agony, breaking the seal and letting the Inner Mocha to emerge. Yukari is shocked by Ruby's actions and turns to see Mizor freezing everything around her as Kirumu changes and charges at Ruby, causing an explosion on Witch Hill. Ruby woke up in the newspaper club's tent, feeling groggy. She remembered the girls attacking her for hurting Sukyun. She tried to retaliate but was stopped by Sukyun offering her a can of tea. Sukyun wanted to hear her story, and the others wanted to know Witch Hill's history. Ruby obliged, explaining they attacked humans to protect their home from plant monsters. Mizor made a point that life was valuable, whether human or monster. Mocha suggested Ruby join Yakai Academy and the newspaper club. Kirumu complained about having 2 witches, and Yukari teased. Mizor's offer to cool heads was declined. Ruby was touched by their kindness and watched silently. When they slept, she slipped away with the tea. At night, Ruby pondered the lessons, feeling it might be too late to change. She summoned her wand, then returned home to talk to her ladyship. Conversations with her ladyship took a dark turn as Ruby was ensnared by vines and defiantly refused to betray. The can was shattered. The newspaper club noticed Ruby's absence and rushed to Witch Hill. Vines ensnared them too. Ruby, back to her malicious self, ordered monstrous plants to emerge. A bat-like creature appeared, then was swatted by her wand. Ruby revealed her ladyship's plan to eradicate humans. Sukyun tried reasoning, but Ruby ignored him, commanding the plants to attack. Kirumu and Yukari broke free, fighting the plants, while some closed in on Sukyun. The screen went black, and Sukyun's flashlight went out. When the light returned, Mizor had broken free and frozen the plants solid, saving Sukyun. All 3 girls promised Sukyun they'd protect him. But then, Sukyun noticed Mocha trapped in vines and rushed to help. Ruby, though, buried them both under a bunch of plant monsters. Kirumu, Yukari, and Mizor were shocked and tried to fight through the monsters to help Sukyun. He was tossed around by the monster plants and wondered how he could save Mocha. Then he got an idea. He took off Mocha's Rosario seal. When the Rosario came off, Mocha transformed and wiped out all the plant monsters with her power. Ruby was surprised to see how strong she was. Inner Mocha thanked Sukyun for saving her and started fighting Ruby. She knocked Ruby into a pile of dead monster plants. Ruby wasn't finished, though. She brought the plants back to life, making them even bigger. She trapped Mocha and Sukyun in vines and attacked them with her sharp wings. She said she was doing what her ladyship wanted. Sukyun realized that her ladyship must be in the house on the other side of the hill, just as he got a cut on his face. Mocha saw this and freed herself, then helped Sukyun escape the vines and join Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizore. Sukyun tried to run toward the house, but the plant monsters blocked his way. Kirimu and Yukari worked together to clear a path, even though they argued a bit. Yukari told Kirimu they could talk later. Almost at the house, Sukyun got blocked again, but Mizore's icicles took out the plant monster. When he reached the house, he saw roots coming out of it. He figured these roots controlled the plant monsters. He traced the roots to her ladyship's room, where they were connected to her rocking chair. Sukyun asked her ladyship to let Ruby make her own choices, but the old witch didn't respond. Sukyun got a bad feeling because she didn't even acknowledge him. Slowly, he moved closer to a mirror in the room. When he looked in the mirror, he saw something horrifying and smashed it with a vase. Outside, Kirimu, Mizore, and Yukari were exhausted. They kept fighting the plant monsters, but the monsters kept coming back even bigger. Yukari noticed something wrong with Mocha's fight against Ruby and pointed it out to the others. Surprisingly, Ruby had tied up Mocha upside down. Yukari begged Ruby to stop the fighting, promising they would all leave Witch Hill and never come back. But Mocha told Yukari to look closely at Ruby. Ruby had changed a lot since they first met her. She couldn't even recognize them anymore. Ruby tied all the girls up with vines, saying it was punishment for messing with her home. Just when things looked bad, Sukyun showed up. He told Ruby that there was no one left who cared about the plan, and her ladyship wasn't there. Ruby said her ladyship was in the house, but Sukyun yelled that she had been gone for a long time. Everyone was shocked. Ruby couldn't accept the truth. She believed her ladyship was still alive, even though she had seen her pass away. Ruby had a flashback to her ladyship's last moments, when she realized her plans were wrong and would make her as bad as the humans she hated. Her ladyship apologized to Ruby and promised to watch over her in spirit. But Ruby couldn't accept her mentor's death. Ruby lost it, surrounded by a blast of magical energy. Yukari recognized it as a witch's desperate move to get more power by merging with other creatures. The plant monsters merged with Ruby, creating a giant monster with Ruby in the middle mouth. Yukari knew Ruby was way out of control. They had to beat her to save her. She asked Sukyun to toss her magic wand. Using Kirimu's shoe and Yukari's magic, they freed Yukari. Mocha got trapped in vines that started to merge with her. Ruby explained she could merge with tons of other monsters and control them. She used Mocha's vampire powers against the others. Yukari told Mizore and Kirimu they had to destroy Ruby's wand to beat her and free Mocha. Yukari used magic cards to blind Ruby temporarily, letting Mocha get back control of her body. As Mocha breaks free, Yukari tells her to smash Ruby's wand. Doing that will make Ruby unable to use her magic. Yukari begs Mocha to stop Ruby, even though she might not go back to how she was. She cries and says Ruby needs help. Mocha agrees to try, but she thinks Ruby might be better off not around anymore. Mocha repeats that she'd take blood over peace and dive kicks Ruby's wand, breaking it. This makes a big explosion, and Ruby screams in pain. During the explosion, Ruby remembers a happy memory from her childhood with her ladyship, asking about her favorite thing. Her face loses its hatred, and then there's an even bigger explosion. The next day, the news club feels really sad because they couldn't save Ruby. Ms. Nekonom arrives just as the bus does. When Jin gets off the bus, everyone is shocked. He's holding Ruby, who's asleep in his RMS. Jin found her floating in the ocean, like something protected her. Ruby looks peaceful and calm while she's sleeping. Summer ended, and the newspaper club came back to Yokai Academy. In the committee's office, he was looking at files about the news club members, and everyone's monster identity was there except for Sukyun. Kuyo said something interesting would happen soon at Yokai for the first time in a long time. He burned the files with a sneer. The newspaper club got tired of the bad security committee and their corrupt ways. The committee beat up students for money, took bribes, and attacked students skipping class. They wanted evidence, but nobody would be a witness because they were scared of the committee. Then, Mizore made the fan club collection be witnesses for them. But when they went to talk to them, they were gone. A member of a new trio told them the committee took them away, and another one told him to shut up. At the same time, Kuyo, the head of the committee, heard that the collection trio had interesting information after being beaten up to keep quiet. The next day, Mocha saw that Sukyun was tired because he didn't sleep. He was focused on exposing the committee. Mocha seemed like she wanted to suck his blood because she was drawn to his scent. Sukyun leaned in, but then Kirimu arrived and kicked Mocha down. Outside the school, Jin was spying on girls with his camera. Then, he saw the security committee heading to Ms. Nekonome's classroom. While they were in class, Kuyo came in and said Sukyun was suspected of being a human. Everyone was shocked. Mocha wondered how they found out. Kirimu said humans couldn't even be at Yokai Academy, and Mocha agreed. Kuyo saw Sukyun, Mizore, and the others from the newspaper club and thought they might know about Sukyun being a human. They were taken away while the other students watched. Yukari tried to free them, but Jin stopped her and said she couldn't do it alone. In the committee's headquarters, Sukyun saw videos of Seizo, Mr. Katsubo, Ms. Ririko, and some other students confirming that Sukyun was human. Kuyo showed Sukyun where his friends were. Kirimu and Mizore were being questioned, but they said Sukyun wasn't human because a human couldn't get into Yokai, and he followed all the rules by not transforming. Then, they showed Mocha and said she was evidence of Sukyun being human because she drank his blood. But Mocha defended Sukyun, saying his blood was just tasty, not proof he was human. The interrogator threatened Mocha with pure water if she didn't cooperate, and started flicking water on her to make her confess. Sukyun got angry and called Kuyo a jerk, demanding he let Mocha go. Kuyo threatened to throw Mocha in a pond if the questioning continued. Then, they revealed the fan club collection was in the room with them, and Kuyo said they told him how Sukyun never fought back and was weak. Kuyo's men held Sukyun down and told him he could change into a monster to clear his name. But with Mocha screaming in pain, Sukyun decided to tell the truth. He admitted he was human, and Kuyo laughed. Kuyo snapped his fingers and revealed Mocha, Kirimu, and Mizore were there the whole time. The shrine had illusions to hide them. Kirimu and Mizore were shocked, and Mocha cried because Sukyun shouldn't have told the truth, no matter what happened to her. Kirimu slapped Mocha, and Sukyun tried to calm her down. Kuyo thought Sukyun deserved what he got. Kuyo told his men to let Kirimu and Mizore leave but keep Mocha locked up because she helped hide Sukyun's identity. Kirimu and Mizore went back to the news club and told Jin and Yukari that Sukyun was a human. Yukari realized that Sukyun was the only one among them who was happy to be in the human world during their trip. Jin noticed that Sukyun was too clumsy to be a monster. Mizore left without saying anything. Jin told them it was the right move to either make peace with the committee or hide out until things calmed down. Then he left. Kirimu wondered what Yukari thought about humans, explaining that she used to think male humans were just slaves for succubi. But she knew better now. Yukari tried to tell Kirimu her thoughts, but then Kuyo's voice came over the speakers. Kuyo announced that Sukyun was a human who had infiltrated Yokai Academy, and that he would be executed at 4:44 p.m. He invited other students to watch him die. A big crowd gathered, and some of them realized Sukyun's scent was definitely human. They yelled excitedly for Sukyun's execution. But one student disagreed, saying he didn't like humans any more than other monsters, but death was too much. Another student agreed, saying he made lots of friends when he went to a human middle school. They both thought the committee was going too far. A committee member heard them and knocked them out to stop them from influencing the crowd. Everyone else cheered for the glorious Kuyo, while the school faculty watched from the school. Ms. Nekonome was horrified that Sukyun was going to be put to death because the academy was supposed to promote peace between humans and monsters. But Mr. Katsubo had a different view. He would have killed Sukyun if the committee wasn't about to. Ms. Ririko told Ms. Nekonome that the director wanted to see her about urgent business and dragged her to his office. Back in the newspaper club room, Yukari was horrified by the news of Sukyun's impending death. She told Kirimu they had to do something to save him. But Kirimu just cried and yelled insults about Sukyun and Mocha. Outside, in the school grounds, Sukyun was displayed like a crucifixion, waiting for his execution. Mocha heard everything from her cell below and cried out for Sukyun. Sukyun was waiting for his death while Kuyo smiled below him. Sukyun was sentenced to execution because he's a human, and the director of Yokai Academy decided not to stop it. Ms. Nekonome couldn't do anything either. As he waited for his execution, Sukyun thought about why he ended up in this situation. He remembered that he wanted to be with Mocha, and if he hadn't stayed, he would never have met all his new friends. He chuckled to himself about it, which made Kuyo think he had gone crazy with fear. But Sukyun surprised him by calmly asking for one thing: to spare the rest of the newspaper club. Kuyo was shocked because someone about to be executed was making such a selfless request. He said the others wouldn't suffer unnecessary harm, and their deaths would be quick and painless. Sukyun was horrified and yelled at him not to hurt his friends, but Kuyo just laughed like a maniac. Mizore is by the ocean, remembering how Sukyun saved her here. Then, a voice speaks to her, telling her it's her turn to save someone. It's a crow that talks to her. Meanwhile, Yukari is trying to convince Kirimu to help Tsukyun. She says it doesn't matter if he's a human because he was the first person to be kind to her after monsters picked on her. Kirimu thinks Yukari doesn't understand what she's going through and wishes Tsukyun and Mocha had trusted them enough to tell them his secret. The same crow appears and tells them they should say these things to Tsukyun and Mocha's faces. In the dungeon, Mocha is crying and Inner Mocha asks if she's given up on saving Tsukyun. Mocha says she can't break free without Inner Mocha's help. Then, the crow arrives and tells Mocha to stay back as it bends the bars of her cell, making a hole big enough for her to escape. Mocha steps out, and the crow transforms into Ruby. Mizore, Yukari, and Kirimu walk in. Mizore explains that dealing with the guard took a while. Yukari agrees, saying he was tough. Kirimu slaps Mocha and says they need to save Tsukyun. She hasn't forgiven Mocha for keeping his secret. Ruby shows them her new wand and explains they have to hurry. A song starts playing. Outside, Kuyo announces it's time to kill Tsukyun and sets him on fire. But Mizore's ice puts out the flames, and Kirimu and Ruby fly down to rescue Tsukyun. Mizore, Mocha, and Yukari arrive, telling Tsukyun to safety while they handle things there. Kuyo is surprised by their defiance and mentions that Jin said something similar last year. The security committee's corruption needed to be exposed, which was more important than the academy. In retaliation, the committee killed every member of last year's newspaper club, except for Jin, because they committed their crime publicly. Kuyo orders his top 3 minions to kill the newspaper club. Yukari attacks the Jiangshi with wash tubs. Mizore struggles against the golem, and the students watching are amazed that the newspaper club is standing up to the security committee. Kuyo heads off to chase after Kirimu, Ruby, and Tsukyun. Yukari sees the situation and shouts for Mizore and Mocha to help Tsukyun. Mizore tells Mocha to go alone as she freezes one of their opponents. Mocha heads back to the school, where everyone else is heading. The song ends. On the roof, Tsukyun thanks Kirimu and Ruby for saving him, and Mocha arrives, running up to him. Tsukyun expresses relief at being reunited with Mocha, thinking he was a goner back there. Meanwhile, Kuyo sadistically remarks that Tsukyun will die there. A fiery arrow pierces Tsukyun's heart, engulfing him in flames and causing severe burns. Everyone watches in horror as Kuyo comments that the execution may not have been shown to the students, but it has been carried out. He expresses disdain for monster-human coexistence, hoping it dies with Tsukyun. Tsukyun weakly tells Mocha he has no regrets about coming to Yakai Academy. Distressed, Mocha realizes he's trying to say goodbye and urges him to stop. Tsukyun asks Mocha for one last thing, pleading for her to protect their friends from Kuyo. He removes the Rosario, blacking out. Mocha calls Tsukyun's name twice but gets no response. Believing Tsukyun is dead, Outer Mocha screams in despair, and Inner Mocha takes over. Inner Mocha glares at Kuyo, cursing him out. Mizore and Yukari arrive and reveal that they defeated Kuyo's minions. However, they are horrified to see Tsukyun badly burned and seemingly dead. Kirimu tearfully explains that Kuyo followed them and managed to harm Tsukyun. Inner Mocha offers a glimmer of hope, stating that Tsukyun is weak but still alive. She suggests healing him with her vampire blood, and Ruby agrees, mentioning vampires' regenerative abilities. Kuyo transforms into his monstrous form, a 4-tailed fox with fire control and an S-rank monster ranking. He fires a blast at them, and Yukari tells Mizore to put up an ice wall, but Mizore believes it won't hold. Jin arrives and takes the hit, urging them not to stand there and call him an idiot. He passes out, shocking Kirimu, who notes that he acted like a club leader for once. Kuyo remarks that Jin is one less person on his list. Mizore's icicles are easily melted, and she's sent flying by a fire blast. Kirimu tries to buy time, flying around and asserting that humans and monsters can be friends. Kuyo fires blasts at her, but she dodges them easily. Ruby and Yukari unleash a barrage of tarot cards at Kuyo, but he easily burns them. However, the remains of the cards transform into spirit familiars in the shape of ravens. Kuyo acknowledges their entertaining effort but destroys the familiars as well. Ruby points out that it's not over yet. The remains of the familiars combine to form an enormous crow that pecks Kuyo's right eye. Kuyo holds his eye in pain, wondering how weaklings could have wounded him. Yukari thinks he might be reverting to human form, but that's not the case. Kuyo has transformed into his ultimate battle form, a rare sight that they should feel honored to witness. Inside the school, numerous students try to reach the roof, but find the door stuck shut. Ms. Nikoname is among them, concerned for her club members. On the roof, Kuyo proves his superiority in power by defeating Mizore, Kirimu, Ruby, and Yukari. However, Mocha remains and vows to defeat him. Kirimu asks about Tsukyun, but it's uncertain now. Mocha realizes that giving up so much of her blood has weakened her superhuman strength. Kuyo lists humanity's negative traits as he attacks Mocha. Mocha is seemingly destroyed in a blast of fire from Kuyo, but Sukyun saves her by holding onto the top of the roof door, sensing danger subconsciously. Once Sukyun wakes up, Mocha affectionately calls him a sleepyhead and flicks his forehead. Kuyo tries to attack, but a transformed Jin grabs him. Kuyo expresses shock at Jin's speed, and Mocha tells Kuyo that he has become intoxicated with power and needs to learn his place. Mocha delivers a jump kick, sending Kuyo crashing into a room below. Just before others arrive to see what happened, Mocha reseals herself. Seeing Mocha unconscious and Sukyun shirtless, everyone believes that Sukyun defeated Kuyo as part of a plan to beat the security committee. Ms. Nikoname comments on how Kuyo's defeat has cleared Sukyun of being human. Some students apologize for their previous mistreatment of Sukyun, while others express delight at Kuyo's defeat. As the students praise Sukyun, Jin, now in human form and stuck under Kuyo, asks if anyone will help him. The newspaper club is treated for their injuries, with Mocha being hospitalized due to overexertion and battle. Mizore is also temporarily hospitalized due to Kuyo's fire attack, which severely affects Snow Women. Sukyun does a voiceover reflecting on the events, grateful to Mocha for saving his life. When Outer Mocha woke up in her hospital room, she saw Sukyun standing nearby, holding a bunch of bright red flowers. Sukyun thanked her for what she had done and said sorry for making her use so much of her power. Mocha told him not to worry, as long as he was okay. Sukyun got all teary-eyed, but Mocha playfully flicked him on the head to stop him from crying. This made Sukyun remember a time when Inner Mocha did the same thing. He felt his heart beating fast and got a bit shocked, thinking he might be falling for both Mochas. Mocha blushed and said that Sukyun looking at her made her want to kiss him. Sukyun was surprised by this and leaned in for a kiss. But just before their lips could touch, Kirumu kicked the door open and barged in with the other girls. Yukari yelled that she knew Sukyun and Mocha were up to something, and Mizore called Sukyun a naughty boy. Mocha greeted them in an embarrassed way. Kirumu grabbed Sukyun and demanded to know what they had interrupted. Sukyun denied they were doing anything wrong. Kirumu, Yukari, Mizore, and even Ruby asked Sukyun for a kiss. However, Mocha sat up and shouted, "Not them, Sukyun. Just kiss me." Then the scene went black with 5 pairs of lips, and Sukyun could only scream, "Ah."